Good morning. I'm Reverend Dr. Marian Stewart. It is my pleasure to serve this congregation as senior minister. I'm glad you've joined us on this snowy morning. Welcome. This morning, we are heeding the advice of all sorts of leaders to stay home and not be in public spaces, especially liberal spaces, during this time of uncertainty in our country. There is potential violence not only at the US Capitol, but also in state capitals across this country. Columbus has received direct threats, and I advise everyone to stay out of the downtown area if possible, stay inside, and be safe. Just basically be aware of your surroundings. It's always a good rule. We do all this in light of the pandemic. If you have not heard already, the virus has mutated and has become more contagious. It's in almost every state at this point. And if you're not already doing so, I encourage you to order your groceries online, stay home, stay safe. We will get through this together. A few more months, it'll be okay, but we have to get there. So everyone, thank you for working together and being safe. But don't worry, with all this, we will still keep you connected with Sunday services, weekly email posts and links and classes, all sorts of things happening at the church. You can do these online. I also encourage you to just pick up the phone and call each other. Say hi and make sure you're okay. What community is about, after all, is connection, and connection depends on each of us making that happen. So I encourage you to do so and enjoy talking with your friends and neighbors and fellow church members who you might not talk to quite so often. But we do this in light of things that are even larger than our current moment. As we begin our time together, we acknowledge that we are on the land that Native Americans inhabited for at least 14,000 years. In central and southern Ohio, long before white people came, Native groups hunted, traversed, fished, and farmed near and around the Scioto and Olentangy River. A large burial mound near High and Mound Streets, built by the Dina culture between 800 BCE and 100 CE. Other Native groups lived here as well. In the 1770s, members of the Seneca Cayuga Nation established a village on the banks of Scioto River near present-day Columbus. Under the Indian Removal Act of 1830, tribes in central Ohio were forcibly removed to lands west of the Mississippi River. The land we are on is not ours. We're only current caretakers. May we do well in that job. And for now, I invite you to take a deep breath, center yourselves as we listen to our prelude.
Good morning and welcome to First UU. My name is Isabel Call and I serve as your Assistant Minister of Pastoral Care. If you are visiting with us, welcome. Please let us know that you are here by filling out our visitors form on the website, and you can find a link to that in the chat box. We have a few announcements this morning. First, Kelly, our Director of Congregational Life, asked me to share that she is very appreciative of all the well wishes she has received. She is still trying to recover from a respiratory infection and will be slowly returning to work this week. She thanks you for your patience as she follows doctor's orders. She also asked me to thank the whole staff who have been incredibly supportive and have been giving her the time and space she needs to recover. Finally, she misses you all and can't wait to be back to welcoming you herself. And we miss you too, Kelly. Don't forget about our new adult art religious exploration curriculum, Faith Forward. We are holding Class 2 on spiritual practices tomorrow at 7 p.m. The class is open to anyone who is interested, and you do not have to attend each class. Please register on our website to get the packet of handouts. The Zoom link is sent out to all registered participants each Monday. Finally, the Pathways to Membership classes that were scheduled for today and Thursday have been postponed. We will announce the rescheduled dates soon. If you are interested in learning more about First UU, great. Or if you're ready to become a member, great. Please register to be notified about our upcoming classes online. And all the links are in the chat box. If you have any questions, you can let me know. And now, before we go into our time of worship, we have a fun skit prepared by our auction team.
Alice, 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 where are you?
Leave me alone, Looking Glass. I'm horribly anxious already. I feel like I forgot something.
It's okay. I just wanted to remind you to enter your donations in the auction website.
What?
Are you having trouble using the website?
Well, everything is backwards and upside down.
Just type firstuucolumbus.org/auction and press the enter key.
I can do that. Now what?
Scroll down the page until you see click here to connect.
Is that sort of like drink this?
Not at all. You won't shrink. Just find the line that says how to log in and donate. Watch the video here.
Where?
Here. Click on the word here. Then watch the video that nice Jim Pinkham made to help you.
What do I do after I watch the video?
Well, scroll up and push the pretty blue Auction 2021 website button.
No. Last time I pushed a button, I lost all my photos from the 1860s.
Not to worry. This will just take you right to the Auction 2021 website.
Ooh, I'm there. What do I do now?
Now you log in and enter your items, just like the video explained. If you need more help, email auction@firstuucolumbus.org, and like magic, help will come.
That looks simple enough. The first week is food, so I'll make my Looking Glass cake. For week 2, I'll donate a life-size chess set outside. And for week 3, I could give tours of Wonderland.
Don't forget to enter all your items by midnight, January 31st.
Why? Will I turn into a pumpkin?
Not likely. You're Alice, not Cinderella. No fairy godmother for you, just me, the Looking Glass. Remember to enter your donations by January 31st at midnight.
I can do that, but how do I bid on goodies and pay for the adventures I want to buy?
Guess what? Good old Jim Pinkham will be hosting an Auction 201 Zoom session this Tuesday, January 19th at 7:30.
Oh, good. I'll invite the Cheshire Cat, Humpty Dumpty, and the Mad Hatter to join me for the Auction 201 Zoom session on Tuesday, January 19th at 7:30.
Tell them the Zoom link will be in the online calendar and in an email on Tuesday.
If I get this right, maybe someday they'll make me queen. Queen Alice sounds right.
Lewis Carroll said, "When I used to read fairy tales, I fancied this kind of thing never happened. And now, here I am in the middle of one."
Thank you, Jim and Danya. Your skits are always so awesome. It's going to be a great auction, and for all those team members who have helped organize it, thank you so much. And now it's our job to gather donations, to submit the things that we want to offer, and then we will have fun in February at the online auction. So thank you for your support, and thank you also for a fun skit. If you have your candle or your chalice nearby, I invite you to get it so that we can light our flame together. I would like to take a moment as we prepare to light our flame together to invite you to Columbus' 36th annual birthday celebration in honor of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's tomorrow online at 9 a.m. You have to bring your own coffee. Just log into MLK or Google MLK Breakfast Columbus for ticket information. The link will also be in your chat. Many of you also received a postcard in the mail. I don't see it right here, but here we go. A postcard in the mail inviting you to do so. And on the postcard, there is a quote that I'll share for our chalice lighting words. But I also want to tell you about the breakfast and the keynote speaker. The keynote speaker this year is a Unitarian Universalist. This is very exciting. It's Melissa Harris Perry. She's an American writer, professor, television host, and political commentator with a focus on African-American politics. This is so exciting, and I hope that you will all be present tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, but you must pre-register to get the link. Again, the link is in the chat box. Holding the tension of the moment, we light our chalice with an excerpt from King's "I Have a Dream" speech in the Washington, D.C. Civil Rights March in 1963. King's words: "We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood and siblinghood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children." I invite you to light your chalice. Our chalice is lit. Our opening song is "Lift Every Voice and Sing." The words were written in 1900 by James Weldon Johnson and set to music by his brother. The song's first public performance was for the celebration of Abraham Lincoln's birthday. In 1919, the NAACP dubbed this song the Negro National Anthem, and today it is known as the Black National Anthem. The song is a prayer of thanksgiving for the faithfulness and freedom, with imagery evoking the biblical Exodus story from slavery to freedom to the promised land. I invite you to sing along. Lift every voice and sing.
chastening rod, felt in the days when home unborn had died, yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading a path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places of God where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Good morning. I hope that lovely hymn roused your spirits. I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration. Our Sunday school class for 7 to 12-year-olds, Peace Pals Choir, and our Navigators Scouting Troop all meet online later today. Please check the chat box or email me for more information. Today's story is a video called The Story of Martin Luther King Jr. by Kid President.
Once upon a time, there's a man named Martin Luther King Jr. It's funny to think about because now we know his name so well, but at one time he was just a kid. Like maybe you're a kid watching this. Well, he was a kid too. Well, maybe you're a grown-up. That's okay too. Former kids are welcome here. I don't discriminate. Martin Luther King grew up to be a great man, of course, but things weren't all that great in the world while he was growing up. Not everybody was treated like they were somebody. And I believe that you should treat everybody like it's their birthday. But they didn't do that. People looked at the color of their skin. And that's how they decided if they were friends or not. Not cool, man. That didn't make him feel good. That didn't make anybody feel good. But his parents helped him grow up. He went to church. He learned about love. He grew up to be a minister to help a lot of people. He did all sorts of cool stuff. He helped a lot of people learn about love too. But still, he looked around and said, things should be better. He wanted to change things, so he did stuff. He decided, instead of spreading the hate, he would spread the love. He wanted to bring people together. Where people were hurting, he stepped in to help. He marched with them, he walked with them. He walked arm in arm with everyone. Sometimes it didn't go well, but he kept going. Sometimes he ended up in prison, but he kept going. Some people didn't like him, but he kept going. Some days were hard, but he kept going. Love does that, it just keeps going, even when things are dark. And, well, I don't like this part of the story, but things did get pretty dark. Someone who didn't agree with him shot him. He died in April 1968. Now, kid president, why are you telling us this sad story? Come on. I know, look, I'm sorry, but it happened. I don't like that it happened. Now, I gotta tell you something. When things aren't awesome, it can be tough. and things will always be awesome, but your response can be. Martin Luther King's response? It was awesome. Today I just wanted us to think about this. Isn't it cool that we can change things? Like any of us, anybody. He dreamed and he changed things, and he dreamed and he kept sharing his dreams. They became not just his dream, a lot of people's dream. Like this one. I have a dream that little black boys and black girls will join hands with white boys and white girls and become sisters and brothers. That's a pretty good dream. Let's dream like that. That could change things. I had the honor of meeting Dr. King's son, Dr. Martin Luther King III. And you can find our conversation in my new book, Your President's Guide to Being Awesome. He's a really great leader, and he even wrote a book called My Daddy, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's so good that I want to book it forward. I'm pledging to send 30 copies to a school in my town. What about you? How can you book it forward? Here's a few ways that people are doing it already. Look at this, it's amazing. It's really cool to see it spread. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being awesome, people. See you next week.
The end. In this story, Kid President reminds us that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a kid once too, and that whether you are young or old, you have the opportunity to make a difference in the world. When people were hurting, Martin Luther King stepped in to help. Sometimes it didn't go very well, but he kept going. When we look back on these difficult times, hopefully part of what we remember will be that we kept going. That I kept going, that you kept going, that we kept going. As Kid President said, when things aren't awesome, it can be tough. And things won't always be awesome, but our response can be. And like Martin Luther King, we all need to keep on dreaming and working to make those dreams a reality.
Thank you, Amber, and thank you, Kid President. Yes, we keep going together. There are many ways we support each other in responding to this world. One way to respond is to listen deeply and allow each other's joys and sorrows to live in our own hearts. If you'd like a significant event from your life to be heard, I invite you to use the chat box now to type your full name and in 10 words or less your sorrow or joy, then select send to panelists. For privacy, we will share your first name and last initial during the caring meditation, unless you tell us to do something different. And Reverend Marion will use your full name in her Rev Talk email later this week. In the future, you are welcome to submit a request ahead of time on our website, where you can also ask for other support.
Wow, what a story from Kid President and from everyone. Happy Martin Luther King Day. It'll be tomorrow. On a sultry summer afternoon or day 5 decades ago, almost 6 decades ago, in August 1955 to be exact, a body was laid out in Chicago for all to see. The sight of 14-year-old Emmett Till, who had gone to visit his family in the Delta of Mississippi, shocked the nation. His mother could have closed the casket, but she wanted people to know, people everywhere, to know what was happening to Blacks in the Jim Crow South. Her decision not to hide her son's lynching at the hands of white whites who were acquitted and later admitted guilt, was the beginning of the civil rights movement in Mississippi and everywhere. Rosa Parks attended a rally for Till, which was led by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Not long after, Parks would sit in a Montgomery, Alabama bus and not move, beginning the infamous bus boycott to force the city to revisit its segregationist policies. In 1963, sharecropper Fannie Lou Hamer was jailed and beaten for attempting to register to vote. The next year, she had led a massive voter registration drive in the Delta region. Others led statewide efforts in what was known as Freedom Summer, and thousands of Blacks were registered to vote. So a lynching, a bus boycott, and a voter registration drive. These issues had been boiling for decades and for generations. But in the mid-1950s to early 1960s, there began to be enough momentum that African Americans began to be heard in their cries that said, enough is enough. No doubt they had been saying it for years before that, but their voices began to coalesce into an identifiable movement that pushed back against the white establishment. And their work is not complete. It is unfinished. History is not a smooth line. It is filled with ups and downs and times when no one knows for sure which end is up. In addition to white supremacist brutality, the civil rights movement was filled with angst and tension and unknowns. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. paraphrased words of Unitarian minister Theodore Parker when he said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." And in that milieu, Martin Luther King had a dream that would bring justice to reality. And we're not there yet. Fast forward to modern day lynchings. 1955 had Emmett Till, 2014 had Michael Brown. After being shot by a police officer, he lay in state for 4 hours on a Ferguson, Missouri street. Like Till's mother, protesters refused to hide their anger. Hands up, don't shoot became a rally cry. Hashtag Black Lives Matter picked up momentum. The Reverend William Barber remembers when King was assassinated. He asked his mother at the time, "Who's going to do the work now?" Fast forward, Barber is a modern day Martin Luther King Jr. His Moral Mondays at state houses have put pressure on legislatures to overturn racist policies. Stacey Abrams lost her Georgia gubernatorial race, but launched a massive voter registration movement that has registered thousands and thousands of Black voters. It could be argued that Abrams' efforts helped turn Georgia from red to blue. The March for Civil Rights is far from over. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it does bend towards justice. But so does the arc of tyranny. Justice is in the eye of the beholder. The voices of Black people, people of color, LGBTQ people, and other minorities have gradually been heard. This is part of King's big, inclusive dream of beloved community. However, all this inclusion can be threatening to the status quo. There is money, power, and political prestige in politics that to keep things as they were, or go back to how great things were, for some at least. Fast forward a bit to now. Insurrection by whites, white men and white women. Thousands, if not millions, of Americans believe it is their patriotic duty to take back the country and return it to pre-dream days. How did we get here? I would suggest that the narratives and ideologies for centuries fueled racist doctrines, policies, and ways of life since the founding of this country. They have morphed into a white supremacy culture that has become militantly violent and morally abhorrent. If, fill in your own adjectives here, a president cannot win re-election, the election must have been stolen, right? But in almost 6 decades since from Emmett Till to Michael Brown, from Rosa Parks to Martin Luther King to William Barber, from Fannie Lou Hamer to Stacey Abrams, the moral arc does bend towards justice, even if slowly. There is hope that in its bending, the tension caused by the current insurrection will catapult real freedom, real justice, and real equality into the center of the moral universe. There is hope coming soon, Wednesday at noon. But politics cannot solve everything. Real change begins with us in our hearts and in our actions. But right now, many of us are afraid, not of justice or of living King's dream or even making it a reality. Well, we're just afraid of the violence. I know I am. It is like Sheriff Bull Connor's police dogs, billy sticks, and billy clubs, and water cannons that beat down Blacks in the civil rights era have turned into mobs with weapons overturning our institutions of democracy. It is not just in DC. Threats are out everywhere for capital cities in states across the nation. Liberals and peacemakers everywhere want to listen, to understand the differences, but it is difficult, very difficult, to have an open mind when you are on the receiving end of armed violence. I don't know how all of this ends. I do believe in King's dream, though. I believe that Theodore Parker's moral arc of the universe does bend towards justice. I also believe that politicians, leaders, and individuals have the power to make beloved community real. I cast my vote. I protest peacefully in the streets and in the halls of government to make my voice heard. Many of you also find ways to be heard, from letters to the editor to teaching our children, from housing and supporting immigrants to working for universal health care. There are many ways, so many ways to do the work. In a state that seems to be traveling backwards on that freedom trail, the opportunities to work for justice are ever present. But if politics is local, there's no more local than the individual, you and me. Making personal King's dream of justice and beloved community, how do we make fundamental change in our own hearts, minds, and actions? I'm guessing some of you might be thinking that you're already there and good for you. That's great. But for me, I am more often than I am comfortable with, faced with my own shortcomings. I am constantly learning, sometimes in hard and embarrassing ways, of my shortcomings. Sometimes I offend other people. Other times, my own experiences fall short. And there are those insights that I gained from resources like the implicit bias test. It's online, you can search for it and take it yourself. You learn a lot, and sometimes it calls us up short. It measures the unconscious prejudice that have real impact on our everyday actions. No matter how hard I try or how much I think I am doing, I clearly fall short of making King's dream a reality. Maybe that's why the January 4th article in Inc. by Carol Kaufman titled "The Split-Second Decision That Can Change Your Life" resonated with me. The byline promised that understanding a fundamental question could change who I am and how I act. Now, to be clear, I'm basically okay with who I am, but I'm also aware that there's a huge gaps between who I am and who I want to be. Could there be a way to close that gap? Kaufman writes that change lies in the instant, the divide between past and present, or past and future. It offers tiny windows of opportunity to be different. The key is to know two things: to know yourself and to know who you want to be. To bridge the gap, the fundamental question is, who do you want to be right now? This is a powerful question. It's also a spiritual question of mindfulness and self-awareness. Who do you want to be right now? If I want to close the gap between King's dream of beloved community and my own actions, I have to hold the present and future out before me at every decision point. Kaufman reminds us that there are 30,000 seconds in every day. That's 30,000 opportunities, split seconds, if you will, to insert a pause and ask, who do you want to be right now? Emmett Till's mother, Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, even Martin Luther King Jr. had these moments that divided the past and the future. They made decisions that changed not only their lives, but also the future of us all. They impacted the world by taking that pause and becoming who they wanted to be now. Split second gaps, asking ourselves, who do we want to be right now, can change how we respond to our children, our spouses, our families, in our workplaces, even in our church communities and in the larger community. This pause can massively impact our actions. Who do you want to be right now? In these days of insurrection and violence, I'm very aware of split-second gaps that wedge the ideals of beloved community into my desire to do nothing but observe. Just sit back and watch the news. It's all out there, right? But beyond physical safety measures, I must not let my voice be silent. We cannot be silent. King's dream takes you, me, all of us, everyone, to make our voices heard. On this eve of Martin Luther King's birthday, let us pause. Let us ask ourselves, who do we want to be right now? There are heroes and iconic voices from the civil rights era. There are modern day leaders, voices, and heroes as well. But leaders can only go so far. Moments that capture our attention can only go so far. Real change, real justice, real bends of the moral arc of the universe depend on everyone doing their part. No excuses. Pause. Ask, who do you want to be right now? Can I make the dream real? You, me, all of us, of course, need to be asking that question. If we ask it often enough and listen, we can all help make Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of a beloved community come true. Will you do that with me? Who do you want to be right now? Let's do it together.
Huge thanks to Brandon and all of the choir members and music staff who participated in that virtual choir piece. What a treat. First UU is a church that matters. It is in the foundation of our being to love, to care, and to be generous. We know this world is a long way from being fair to all people. It takes all of us to make it better. To offer our gifts and pay our promised pledges is to say to ourselves and the world that we are defined by our hearts and our deeper values. We understand that some folks in our community have been financially devastated by the pandemic, while others' finances still feel solid. If you have been fortunate enough to retain financial stability, we hope that you will consider giving extra, knowing that not all of us have been so lucky. Regardless of your ability to contribute financially, We value you and your presence in our community. Please do not hesitate to reach out for whatever help you may need. Our Share the Plate recipient for January is the Clintonville Beachwold Community Resource Center. CRC provides local assistance through their food pantry, child and youth programs, senior services, and kinship care program. Whether it's a helping hand during hard times or helping people get the support they need through referrals to other services in our network, CRC keeps our community strong by ensuring that all individuals and families become self-sufficient. The offering that helps build a better world and a better church will now be gratefully received. You can donate online on our website, text to give, or write a check and mail it in. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Nathan. There is so much happening in our world. Too much, it seems, at an unrelenting pace, while many of us stay home, grounded, not participating as we might like. It is an in-between time, A before time as we look forward with hope and concern, and after time as we grieve and remember what and who are no longer with us. To open our caring meditation, I call into our awareness all those people who have taught us what is good in the world. I call into our awareness all that is good in this world. And I share the words of Reverend Leslie Takahashi, favorites of mine that are good in many moments, including this one. All that we have ever loved, all that we have ever been, stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope. A greater generosity of spirit, a deeper joy in this life we share. These words remind me that we stand or sit or rest reclining on the brink of what will be. No matter whether you are consciously aspiring to create or attending to the sacred goodbye of who and what is gone, you are joined at this brink by us, this community, and thousands, millions, billions of others of goodwill. This morning, we have several caring cards. One for Jesse C. and his mom, Deb, who asked for our prayers that Jesse's sister, Chelsea, is an exact match for his blood marrow transfer. In the meantime, as they wait, he is doing quite well. Judith V. is currently hospitalized at Grant Medical Center, where the medical team is working to diagnose her. We're waiting with you. We send our sympathy to Karen T., whose husband Tom died at age 78 on January 13th after an 11-year struggle with debilitating arthritis. Tom had a PhD in animal behavior and taught for 30 years at the Ohio State University as a tenured associate professor with a joint appointment in veterinary preventative medicine. Karen shared how much Tom loved the outdoors. We send our sympathy also to Deb and Michael M. and their daughter Meg in Berkeley, California. Deb's mother and Meg's grandmother, Lila Patterson of Fort Worth, Texas, died suddenly due to COVID-19 on January 14th. She was 92. Lila's life will be remembered when it is safe to travel. This morning, we also received these joys and sorrows in our chat. Alice R. shares that her women's sharing circle also grieves for Deb M., who's one of their members. Susan N. asked for healing thoughts for her sister, who undergoes aneurysm surgery on Tuesday. Julie S. asks for healing thoughts for a family member who was diagnosed with COVID this week. Ben S. asks, please hold my husband, Jeff H., in your thoughts and prayers. He is dealing with COVID. Robin L. would like to say happy birthday to her husband, Dan M. Happy birthday, Dan. And many people have shared in the chat how much they appreciated our choir's piece today. Thank you so much to everybody who brings your love and your gifts for our community. May we hold all of these sorrows and joys and all those unspoken gently in our hearts.
As we go into our moment of silence, I will ring the bell that I often ring at my kitchen table before each meal. I ring it for gratitude, appreciation, and also hold all the joys and sorrows of life.
Morally, I was led to nonviolence because I felt that it was the best moral way to deal with the problem. We were seeking to establish a just society. And it was my feeling then, and it is my feeling now, that violence is certainly much more socially destructive, and it creates many more social problems than it solves. So I was led to nonviolence for deep moral reasons. And I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
There is no freedom, the wise man said, let justice roll down when the poor cry out for shelter and bread. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Hatred will never drive out hate. Let love roll down, roll down. Remember, our hearts can make us great. Let love roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let your love roll down like a mighty stream. When brutality threatens our daughters and sons, let peace roll down, roll down. May our voices rise up louder than the guns. Let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Step by step, one by one, let justice roll down, roll down. They can kill the prophet, but the dream lives on. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream.
I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
Thank you, Lea Morris, a Unitarian Universalist musician who brought us that wonderful song, Let Justice Roll Down, and blending it with the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I hope you sang along and tapped your foot, and I hope you took the words, Let Justice Roll Down, to heart. Looking at our national leadership crisis and the upcoming inauguration, I offer these words adapted from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. A time like this demands great leaders, leaders whom the lust of office does not kill, leaders whom the spoils of life cannot buy, leaders who possess opinions and a will, leaders who have honor, leaders who will not lie, leaders who can stand before a demagogue and damn treacherous flatteries without winking. Tall leaders, sun-crowned, who live high above the fog in public duty and private thinking. Amen.
Amen. I'm Amanda Hayes, your Justice Coordinator. Much like the time of the Civil Rights Movement, this is a time that demands so much of leaders and of all of us. Working for justice is a part of First UU's mission and vision. One of the ways that we do this is through BREAD, which stands for Building Responsibility, Equity, and Dignity. BREAD is a congregation-based community organization of many different religious communities in Central Ohio, and First UU is a founding member of BREAD. United through BREAD, these congregations research proven solutions and apply nonpartisan pressure on local decision makers to improve housing, healthcare, employment, education, and other poverty-related problems in Central Ohio. I'd like to introduce you this morning to a new leader in our Central Ohio community, BREAD Associate Organizer Lauren Muscott, who needs our help to start her work. As part of her onboarding as an associate organizer, Lauren will be reaching out to members of First UU to learn more about our stories and our passion for justice work. I'll be working with Lauren to help connect these stories and passions with opportunities to do justice work through our Justice Action Ministry. I'm really excited about this opportunity to learn and work together, and I hope that if Lauren reaches out to you, that you might take the time to talk with her. Please email me at amanda@firstucolumbus.org if you're willing to share your story and passion for justice with Lauren. And now here's Lauren.
Hi, my name's Lauren Muscott, and I'm joining Rob, Clarissa, and Cora as an organizer with BREAD. I'm so excited to get to work with First Unitarian Universalist. Over the next few months, I'll be working with Amanda to help coordinate and strengthen justice efforts at First UU. I'll be reaching out to some members individually to learn about your interests both within the church and within the community. But don't worry, a conversation with me doesn't mean that you're signing up for a committee or joining any effort. These conversations are really just an opportunity for us to build relationships and uncover interests in justice within First UU. So, if you're interested in having these conversations or learning about justice efforts at First UU more generally, get in touch with Amanda at amanda@firstuucolumbus.org.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Lauren. We look forward to working with you. And now if you have your candle or chalice nearby, I invite you to get it so we can extinguish our flame together as we say our closing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love. Our chalice is extinguished.
We have a few announcements about opportunities coming up. Join us tomorrow evening for class 2 of spiritual practices, and stay tuned for other fun classes as part of our Faith Forward curriculum. Quick reminder about the auction. Deadlines are soon. You don't want to miss this chance to leap through the looking glass. Our second end of life workshop is after service Sunday, January 31st. It's going to be filled with great info to help you make the inevitable less stressful for those who love you. All links are in the chat. For more announcements, please subscribe to our church's email list. Everyone is invited to coffee hour immediately after the service. You can find the link in the chat box and also in this morning's worship email. The passcode is lowercase uu. I'll see you there.
Today's worship service would not be possible without the time and care of many people. Thank you all. Special thanks to our choir members and music staff who participated in the virtual choir arrangement, and especially to our music director, Dr. Brandon Moss, for helping to lead and organize the effort. Thank you for that lovely musical offering. And a big thank you to our tech volunteers. If you would like to help us with tech tasks, including creating our weekly PowerPoint slides or advancing them on Sunday mornings, please email Reverend Marion and let us know. As always, a huge thank you to our ministry team for the work they do every week to bring us a vibrant and compelling service each Sunday. Thank you.
As we head into coffee hour, I invite you to hold the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, his dream, his I Have a Dream speech, his dream of beloved community and justice for everyone. I invite you to hold that in those split-second moments when you have the opportunity to ask, who do you want to be right now? Who do I want to be right now? Take the pause, change the world. See you in coffee hour.